What's up, you guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at the pros and cons of being a landlord. It can be profitable. It's something that I'm interested in doing. I'm going to kind of tell you my experience with almost becoming a landlord and just go over those pros and cons. Stay tuned for more. Being a landlord does have a lot of benefits, but obviously there are some negative things, some things that can happen, you don't really have control over. And so there are definitely some risks when it comes to being a landlord. Let's first get into the pros of being a landlord. Now, obviously, if you have enough money to buy a property in cash, that's obviously the best thing that you want to do. But if that's not always a situation that can happen. My goal is to not go into debt besides a mortgage. And so it's probably not going to be for a while until I'm able to save enough money for that. But the first pro is really just the extra income that you can earn if you are a landlord. If you decide that you're not going to have enough cash, you're going to have to get a loan for this. You just want to make sure that the profit that you're going to be making is going to definitely cover your mortgage that you're going to be paying, along with any taxes and association fees if it's a condo or that type of community. So the second pro of landlording that I want to talk about is just a minimal time commitment. Now, early on when you buy a property and you find someone to live in it and you need to make any renovations or do those things to get it ready, obviously that's not going to be a minimal time commitment. But once you have a property ready to go, your end goal is that it is going to be a minimal time commitment. You're not going to have to take care of the little things. Now, if your profit margin is high enough and you can have a property manager, then it's going to really limit your time that you have to spend with the property. But if you're looking to save as much money as possible, then you're going to end up wanting to do the fixes or be available if problems do arise. So any profit that you make from your real estate is absolutely going to be taxed, but there are some tax benefits and some tax deductions that you can take advantage of as a landlord. It's just like owning your own business, and so some of the expenses required to uphold the businesses are tax deductible. And so the accounting, your buildings and contents insurance, cleaning, depreciation during wear and tear, gardening, mortgage interest, replacing water pipes and disposal ducts, replacing damaged furniture, repainting, all those things are definitely deductible, and so you want to take advantage of it. The next pro that we're going to look at is just the long-term profit from being a landlord. Now, the ultimate goal of any type of real estate is that it's going to appreciate over time or get larger and be worth more over time. And so you can use that to your benefit, and it's going to be nice that if you do need cash and you need to sell, hopefully it's appreciated by then. And you can put it towards a child's education, your pension, any emergencies that you might have. These are all things that you want to think about long term, and it definitely can be a perk, a pro for being a landlord. Being a landlord gives you a ton of freedom. Now, obviously you need to still follow the laws and follow the rules, but it does give you that freedom to kind of be your own boss, which is another perk or pro of being a landlord. So that was a bunch of pros, and I'm gonna kind of just stop there. There are a couple of other things, but those were the real main things that I wanted to go over. Now let's take a look at some of the cons, and I've already kind of talked about this. Really, the startup costs. So what are you going to need? How much money are you going to need to initially start? Once you have your property, there's bound to be some things that come up that you weren't aware of. So just being able to cover those costs to get you started. It may take a couple months until you get your feet wet and you're able to turn the profit, but those startup costs could definitely eat at your profits, and definitely could be something that you need to make sure that you have some extra funds available in case they do come up. Not to really mention what I just said, but a little different than those startup costs are maintenance costs. So roof, just things that can happen over the time that you are a landlord. Things happen. Rental property doesn't stay perfect. You gotta just stay up to date. Be in good communication with the person that's renting from you, so that they are going to be open and honest with you if there are some things that aren't, because you want to get them taken care of before things get worse. Another con of being a landlord is just your tenant issues. And so, we can't control people, but having a nice background check, a nice application to really make sure that you are getting someone who's going to pay their rent. You want to make sure that you contact any references for people that they rented from before. You just want to make sure that you cover all your bases and you aren't going to get somebody in there that's not going to pay their rent. You don't want someone that's going to have the police called on them because they're too loud, or they're damaging your property. You want someone that's going to take care of things and treat it as their own. And finally are just legal issues. I know I've mentioned this before, but you just have to make sure you're staying up to date with what's going on in the world. Obviously, with the coronavirus, there's new laws about being able to kick people out if they are not paying their rent. They have their rights, and you want to make sure that you're staying in the right and making sure that you're following the law, so that there aren't any lawsuits or fines that could come against you as well. So being a landlord, really, it can be super rewarding. It can be a great way to provide some extra income, but there are some things that you want to make sure you're checking, some boxes you're making sure you're checking off anytime you're going to become or thinking about being a landlord. I know I mentioned at the beginning that I would just kind of talk about my experience. I lived in a condo, 1,100 square feet, low taxes, really didn't have a whole lot of maintenance. I've lived there for the last 10 years. I knew the place, so if something would go wrong, I would be able to be there quickly and make those changes. I had thought about being a landlord for so long. I was so excited about it. And then we wanted to buy a house, and the house was a little higher priced than I originally was thinking. I thought I was going to be able to make them both swing, and it could have made it swing, but it would have made things definitely a little tight. I wasn't able to take on the risk that would be associated with it. It would probably, as soon as I got a renter in, it would have been a very smart decision because of such low interest rate on it. But at this point in our lives, it just didn't make sense because I want to make sure I'm putting my family first. I want to spend a lot of time on the new property that we bought, making sure that I get it looking nice. And it's already livable, but we have some projects that we want to do just to make it a little nicer, make it more like our home. And so that is why I decided to not become a landlord. It really, I love the property. Like it's sad for me, but I know that it's the right decision. And, I'm young enough. I'm 33 years old. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity down the road. I'm a teacher, obviously, so I'm not making some huge income. But, slow and steady wins the race. And if I can slowly, save up, then, there might be an opportunity down the road. Another thing that I just wanted to real quickly mention about was our real estate investment trusts, or REITs. And so I've talked a little bit about them. I'm going to put a video out again. And so I'm going to slowly add those to my portfolio as well, just because they can provide some nice extra income. Essentially, it's these companies, and I go into further detail, but you basically are buying shares of stock from a company that pays out 90% of their profits in dividends to you. And so you can buy these REITs on Robinhood. You can buy them literally on any brokerage. They're traded on the stock market. And so, that's something that I may be looking to do until I would have enough cash to buy a property outright in cash down the road. I really appreciate you guys checking this video out. I hope it was informative and helpful to you. That's really what this is all about, is just to kind of give you some things to think about. I'd love for you to comment below, hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe, tell other people. I hate that I'm always pleading for people to do that, but it does really help me out. I have some goals that I really want to reach with YouTube. I do this as, just like I said, just educational, but any likes and comments and subscriptions really help. It's all free, I promise. And so just if you could do that, it means a lot. And I hope you got some value out of this. And remember, it's that simple.